This question asks you to identify accurate statements about the fetchcovtype dataset from the Sklearn library. I will guide you to figure out the correct answers. Let's examine each statement carefully. This instruction tells me that more than one answer option might be correct for the quiz. I must choose every true statement. This statement suggests that most of the data points in the dataset are categorical, meaning they represent categories or groups rather than numerical values. I need to check if this is accurate for the fetchcovtype dataset. This claims that the outcome I'm trying to predict, the target variable, is a continuous number indicating how dense the forest is. I need to find out if the target variable in fetchcovtype actually represents forest density. This statement says I can directly use the data after loading it without any changes. I should check this. Data often needs preparation, pre-processing, before model training. The quiz focuses on the fetchcovtype dataset, which is part of the Sklearn library. This library provides tools for machine learning in Python. This is the core question, prompting me to assess the veracity of statements about the characteristics of the fetchcovtype dataset. Let's get started. This question asks you to identify accurate statements about the fetch_covtype dataset, a collection of information about forest cover types from the Sklearn library. I'll guide you through each statement. Statement A claims the dataset is mostly made up of categorical features. This means the data is not numerical like height or weight, but rather labels or categories like different types of trees. Statement B says that the main thing we are measuring, also called the target variable, is a continuous number showing forest density. This is incorrect. The target variable actually represents the different types of forest cover. Statement C suggests that you can load the dataset directly without any extra steps. While you can load it directly using _fetch_covtype, you often need to prepare the data, for example, handle those categories, before using it in machine learning models. Statement D points out there are many features in the dataset, making it suitable for dimensionality reduction techniques. This is true. There are so many features that we may need to simplify it using methods to reduce dimensions for better model performance. Pretty cool, right? I'm excited to help you understand this question about the Sklearn fetch_covtype dataset. We'll look at the properties of this dataset to determine which statements are correct. The key is understanding what kind of data it contains and how much data we're dealing with. This statement says that most of the data in fetch_covtype is in categories, like tree type A, tree type B, and so on, rather than numbers. I'll confirm this by checking the dataset's description. Here, we need to find out if what we're trying to predict, target variable, is a number that can take any value within a range, continuous. The statement says that it is forest density. I'll check this in the fetch_covtype documentation to see if it matches. This claims that there are many descriptive features in the dataset. This suggests that we could improve the model by reducing the number of features. I'll confirm how many features this dataset has and consider if this is a lot or not. If it is a lot, then dimensionality reduction would be a good idea. This statement says you can just load the dataset and use it straight away. That sounds a little too good to be true. I'll verify this. Often, datasets need some cleaning or formatting before they are model ready. Specifically, I'll investigate if there is a need for something called one-hot encoding, which is a technique that handles categorical data. After examining each statement, I'll select those that are completely true about the fetch_covtype dataset. This might mean choosing more than one answer. This is a quiz about the fetchcovtype dataset in the Sklearn library. I'll be testing your knowledge of its characteristics. Let's see what you know. I'm asking you to identify which statements about the fetchcovtype dataset are correct. Pay close attention to the details of each statement. This statement claims that most of the data points in the dataset describe categories rather than numbers. I need you to determine if this is accurate. This statement says the main variable we are trying to predict, the target, is a number that can take on any value within a range, like forest density. I want to know if this is true for the fetchcovtype dataset. This statement suggests that there are many different characteristics describing each data point. It also says that techniques to reduce the number of these characteristics might help. I want you to decide if this is correct for the fetchcovtype dataset. This statement says that you can load the dataset simply and directly, without any extra preparation for machine learning. I need you to check if this is a true statement. This is a quiz about the fetch_covtype dataset, which is a collection of data about forest cover types from the Sklearn library. I'll be testing your knowledge of this dataset. I'm going to give you several statements about the fetch_covtype dataset, and I want you to identify the ones that are correct. This statement says the dataset has many features, which could make it computationally expensive to work with. Dimensionality reduction techniques, like principal component analysis, PCA, can help simplify the dataset without losing too much information. I believe this is an important consideration for anyone working with this dataset. This statement claims that most of the data points in the dataset are categorical, meaning they represent categories or groups rather than numerical values. This statement suggests that the main variable we're interested in, the target, is a number that can take any value within a range, representing forest density. This statement implies that you can load the data using a simple function and use it directly in a machine learning model, without any preparation or data cleaning. This section is simply a label to help organize the information about the structure of the fetch_covtype dataset. This is a quiz about the fetch_covtype dataset, which is a dataset available in the Sklearn machine learning library in Python. I'll be testing your knowledge of this dataset's characteristics. I'm asking you to identify which statements about the fetch_covtype dataset are correct. This statement is true because the fetch_covtype dataset has about 54 features. That's a lot. When you have so many features, it can help to use dimensionality reduction techniques like principal component analysis, PCA. These techniques aim to reduce the number of features while preserving important information, which can help make your machine learning models faster and more accurate. The fetch_covtype dataset primarily uses categorical features. A categorical feature is one that can take on a limited number of values, often representing categories or groups. Think of them as labels. For example, instead of using a numerical representation of color, I would use labels like red, blue, green. This refers to the large number of features in the fetch_covtype dataset. Having many features can lead to the curse of dimensionality, where models become less efficient and less accurate. Dimensionality reduction helps address this problem. This statement is false. The target variable in fetch_covtype isn't a continuous numerical value representing density. Instead, it represents the type of forest cover, which is a categorical variable, meaning it takes on a limited number of distinct values representing different forest types. While I can load the dataset directly using fetch_covtype, it often needs some pre-processing. For example, the categorical features might need to be converted into a numerical format suitable for many machine learning algorithms, for example using one-hot encoding. This emphasizes that the dataset has many features, around 54, so techniques to reduce dimensionality, like PCA, would be very helpful in improving the machine learning model's performance and computation speed. This question asks you to identify true statements about the Sklearn fetch_covtype dataset, which contains information about forest cover types. It's a multiple-choice question. You'll need to know about the features. Are they categorical or numerical? The target variable, what kind of data is it, and the number of features in the dataset. This statement checks whether the dataset's main characteristics are categorical, like colors or types, rather than numerical, like height or weight. I would check the dataset's documentation to verify. This statement tests your understanding of the target variable, the thing you are trying to predict. It suggests it's a continuous numerical value, like a number with decimals, that can change smoothly. However, I believe the target variable represents different forest types *, not a continuous measure like density. So, this is false. This statement says that you can use the dataset directly without any changes. This might be true, but it's not always the case in real-world scenarios. Datasets often need adjustments, pre-processing. This explores whether there are so many features that methods to reduce the number of features might be useful. I expect a large number of features would support this idea. This statement could be true, but I should check the feature count.